This is Valley News Live at 5.
We begin this afternoon with breaking news. We are just learning that there's a motorcycle accident off of Highway 10 east of Glendon. Now we're working to gather information on that crash. We'll share any updates that we have on our website at valleynewslive.com. And there's more breaking news. We're now learning that someone who was hit by a train in Crookston, Minnesota has died. That incident happened around 2 o'clock this afternoon. According to Polk County Dispatch audio, someone from the Holiday gas station called in the incident. When asked about the extent of injuries, a first responder on scene said, very significant loss of limbs. Police did not release the victims' names, but they did say it was a 28-year-old man. Investigators also say that he did not respond to the warning sounds of the train's horn. There's also breaking news this afternoon out of Tennessee. At least one person is dead, 12 others were injured in a shooting at a supermarket this afternoon. This is a live look at that area. We are now learning that one person has been discharged from the hospital. Students at a nearby school were ordered to shelter in place. Our sister station says the shooter is dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. They also say that the suspect's vehicle is still in the parking lot. Police are waiting for special equipment to arrive so they can safely inspect it. Here at home, a Fargo man's mysterious jump in water usage has others in the community wondering if their most recent water bills are accurate. It's a story we told you about earlier this week when a North Fargo homeowner said his water bills went from around 1,500 gallons of water used each month to 74,000 gallons in July. Valley News Team's Bailey Hurley spoke to city officials today to find out if your bill is accurate.
Of the 34,000 water meters in the city of Fargo, Auditor Steve Sprague says all of them are read every month by 3 city employees, either by radio reads or physically walking up to your home.
The only time that we estimate is if we can't get access to the meter pad.
Sprague says access may be limited depending on locked gates or large animals in the yard.
Normally in those cases, we'll mark it and go back at a different time.
He adds if his office goes more than 2 months estimating, additional steps will be taken to make arrangements to do an actual reading.
If we do have somebody's where it's moving around a little bit, we will estimate low and then catch up later if we need to, or if our estimate is high, we'll adjust back.
Sprague emphasizes there shouldn't be concerns on your meter's accuracy, as the Metro's good water quality doesn't impact the meter's reading ability. Adding the most recent meter tested by his office proved it was 99.9% accurate. In Fargo, Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Sprague also says the biggest culprit for higher water bills is likely leaky toilets, saying a home could go through up to 129,000 gallons in a month just from one faulty toilet. If you have concerns on your bill, you can always call the city auditor's office. The phone number is 701-241-1324. North Dakota's Secretary of State says his office will not review recall efforts of 4 Fargo Public School Board members. A statement from the office reads, if signatures collected were not counted because the signer did not live within the Fargo School District, the law is clear that those cannot be counted and no legal challenge will change that. The Attorney General's office will not be reviewing the signatures as well. Organizers with the recall effort stated that they are still reviewing their options with other legal advisors. I wouldn't mind a month or so of the fall weather like we've had today. If you can, take some time and get out outdoors and enjoy. Let's get the very latest from Hutch on what's happening this evening. He's here now with a first look. Hutch?
Mike, thanks so much. Good evening, everyone. As we head into our Thursday night, the weather breezy but beautiful. Temperatures have soared into the 70s for almost all areas. A few folks out there enjoying the golf course at the Dakota Magic Casino as we head into the evening hours. It looks like our trend of nice weather does continue. Look at these temperatures. It's hot up near the international border, 79 in Roseau. We have some 80s in the central Dakotas as we head through our evening. We do have changes on the way, though. Take a look at this. The winds gusting at times over 20 miles per hour, but they're starting to taper off already in most locations. That's a good sign. So our evening looks to be quiet, but not all night long. There is a cold front heading our way. There's a couple sprinkles. See them here, the green? Well, those are heading our way as we go through the overnight hours. We'll have details on when they get to your neighborhood or if they get to your neighborhood here in a moment. Temperatures tonight, comfortable 60s out there. We will have increasing clouds, but decreasing wind. Mike, hope you can get out and enjoy for a while anyway.
I sure hope to. Thanks.
You bet.
A Fargo man is facing a number of charges after authorities say he assaulted and choked his 11-year-old neighbor. Investigators say the girl told them that she was playing basketball with her friends when Larry Baldner started yelling at the kids to get off the property. They also say he called them the N-word at one point. Now, Baldner told authorities that he had to wait for the kids to move to pull into his driveway. He also told police that the kids mouthed off and that one of the kids beat him up. Police say Baldner was very uncooperative with them, and when they put handcuffs on him, he was verbally abusive to officers. Charges are pending against a semi-driver who was involved in a crash with a train. It happened this morning in Otter Tail County. The tractor trailer was on the North Lake Street when it crossed the tracks. The semi was hauling restaurant supplies which were scattered throughout the area. The driver of the truck wasn't hurt. The train's conductor sustained minor injuries. Keep your eyes peeled in Grand Forks. You might spot a coyote. Police say that they believe it's injured and that it's been spotted several times recently. Authorities remind you to avoid wildlife if you see it in town and to call them if it poses a threat to you or your family. Most of the time, these animals make their way out of town without hurting anyone. You also need to watch out for potentially toxic blue-green algae in wetlands and lakes this fall. If you swallow or come in contact with it, you can become sick with diarrhea or vomiting and experience other symptoms like numb lips, dizziness, or even skin blisters. For animals, they may suffer adverse health effects and could possibly die. They're at a higher risk than people for illness because they're smaller. The Greenwood fire in northeastern Minnesota is still burning, but it could be fully contained by October 14th. The lightning-caused fire has now burned about 27,000 acres. Reporter Jennifer Hoff speaks with one man whose home was barely spared by the fire, and for the first time, he's sharing photos of the aftermath.
Surveillance video from August 23rd showed the Greenwood fire sweep through Pat Prochaska's property.
It was shocking.
The day that fire doubled in size.
It was a ways away to right on top of us in a matter of hours.
From his Minneapolis home, Prochaska revealed its aftermath.
That is just gone.
A shed and everything inside destroyed.
It's like I didn't know where I was. I could not relate to anything.
To the trees, now burnt and black. Prochaska left to look at old photos of them in their full green glory.
That was 30, 40 feet from those 2 watering cans that didn't even get touched.
What the fire spared stands out on the now moonscape that even mystified law enforcement.
When we went to the checkpoint and told them where we were going, I gave the address, and you could just see his little wheels working in his head, and he said, "Oh, you're the cabin that survived."
Melted siding and some cracked windows, the only scars to show on that cabin that escaped what its neighbors couldn't.
He was right across the road. It was very depressing.
More than a dozen primary homes burned. Prochaska positive a dirt trench around his, the asphalt roof and defensible space helped.
It was my habit to go out there in June every year and mow around that whole circle around the house.
A good lesson for anyone living in the forest that while always beautiful can be ripe for wildfires, and Prochaska hopes now new growth in a place he can still see the beauty.
We still have the cabin, so we still have a place to watch this happen.
The homeowner has been allowed to visit his property twice, and the main highway is still partially closed. But if you're visiting the National Forest or Boundary Waters, all of the restrictions have been fully lifted. Thousands of Haitian immigrants, or migrants rather, are still encamped in Texas, where they face tough conditions and immediate expulsion. The Congressional Black Caucus has demanded a halt to the mass deportations, and they've called for the firing of the several Border Patrol agents over use of aggressive tactics they described as racist. The U.S. Special Envoy to Haiti resigned because he says that he won't be associated with the United States' inhumane decision to deport thousands of Haitian refugees. More than 1,000 Haitian migrants have been allowed to the United States seeking asylum. CDC advisors say boosters should be offered to people 65 and older, nursing home residents, and those ages 50 to 64 with risky underlying health problems. The extra dose would be given once they're at least 6 months past their last Pfizer shot. The panel also offered the option of a booster for those 18 to 49 who have chronic health problems and want one. It stressed that its recommendations will be changed if new evidence shows more people need a booster. It falls on the CDC to set final U.S. policy on who qualifies for the extra shot. People who work or have any business purpose in the Red Lake area will have to be vaccinated against COVID or show weekly test results. However, the Red Lake Tribal Council is indicating the mandate does not apply to pregnant women, people with certain medical conditions, children under the age of 12, and those with certain religious beliefs. Exceptions will not be approved for philosophical, political, and scientific views. Later on Valley News Live at 5, a recall to pass along involving millions of newborn loungers.
But next, we're going to talk a little bit about the weather. Temperatures today are wonderful, almost 80 for some of us. Hey, it's Weather Kit night. We'll introduce you to tonight's Luther Family Ford Weather Kit and have that forecast and chance of sprinkles next.